Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. Happy Victory Monday to everybody that is joining us. There are only 14 teams remaining in the NFL playoffs, with the Bucs being one. We're going to talk about what's next for Tampa Bay. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is Scott Reynolds. Scott, how we doing?
We're doing great. This is another Victory Monday, and this is perhaps the most important Victory Monday in the entire year, Matt Matera, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the playoffs, hosting another wild card game. This has become a familiar scene for this team as they've won 4 straight NFC South titles, hosted 4 playoff games. The first one coming in this streak in 2021, they demolished the Eagles. Then they lost to the Cowboys in Todd Bowles' first season as head coach. Then they beat the Eagles, drubbed them in a masterpiece of a game by Todd Bowles last year. And then we'll see what happens this year. But the Washington Commanders are on deck. Tampa Bay moved up to the number 3 seed with that Rams loss yesterday. And they avoided playing the Minnesota Vikings, who have 3 losses. That's a pretty significant dodge right there, I think. I think the Vikings are pretty formidable, but so is a 12-win Washington team, which Todd Bowles said today is vastly different than the squad that the Bucs beat 37-20 back in week 1 at Raymond James Stadium.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, we've talked about on this show before when we were talking about seeding and playoff positioning and how the Bucs can, take advantage of beating some teams earlier in the season that were in the NFC South and get some tiebreakers. Lo and behold, help them get the 3 seed versus the 4 seed. But one of the things we talked about was that Tampa Bay caught a little bit of a break playing Jayden Daniels specifically in week 1 when he was still trying to figure it out. And I was thinking about it too, and I saw a great discussion by Alex Smith, who formerly played for Washington as well, was a number 1 overall pick by the 49ers. Yeah. And he was talking about the dysfunction of the Atlanta Falcons, talking about you paid Kirk Cousins all this money, but then with the season on the line, now you decide to go away from him and go with Michael Penix, like with 3 games left. Like there's no time for development for a rookie when you're playing for your season, where on the other hand, Washington started Jayden Daniels from week 1. Now, granted, they were in a much different situation, and that was the plan all along than what Atlanta did. But we've seen the growth, the maturation, the progress of Jayden Daniels throughout the season. I mean, he was a Pro Bowl quarterback over Baker Mayfield. Now, a lot of us will disagree with that, and that's why the Pro Bowl, we don't hold as much weight as compared to All-Pro and some other accolades. But nonetheless, Jayden Daniels is an electrifying quarterback, and he wasn't easy when the Bucs went up against him week 1. Now he has all this experience, and he gets a chance to right a wrong. Obviously, the Bucs are trying to stop that. So a very, very different matchup, as Todd Bowles said, than week 1. And the fact that it's on prime time, Sunday Night Football, I know Bucs fans don't love that. But in reality, every playoff game is essentially, has the whole world watching. There's only one game going on at a time. So I don't think it would make too much of a difference whether they played Saturday, Sunday, or even Monday night where they're used to.
Well, the interesting thing is Tampa Bay did break a dubious streak yesterday. They didn't score first, and yet they still won. Yes. So maybe that's a sign of good things to come. Maybe the fact that the Buccaneers are 0-4 in primetime, this game being Sunday night at 8 o'clock on NBC, maybe they can right that wrong as well and break that little bit of a streak or curse or whatever you want to call it. So, it's a very exciting matchup. I'm going to get to that more in-depth at about 4:20 during our roll call today. It's a Victory Monday. It's also a Monday. So win or lose, we do roll call. That's because we want to find out where you, Pewter people, are watching the show from. And we know we've got a lot of Floridians that watch the show, a lot of stateside Americans that watch the show, and a lot of international Bucs fans as well from all around the globe. So it's always a fun, exciting time. I'll be doing a little bit of a rant today. Matt Matera will be checking in with you guys and putting up all of your locations. So stay tuned for that in about 12 minutes. But we have some interesting news here, some news we've kind of forecasted a while. It's not great news because the Bucs' success finally the NFL is taking note. See, it works both ways, folks. You can't have it both ways. You can't want all of this national media attention and the spotlight, and you guys get pissed when the Bucs get overlooked on national shows. Okay, that's fine. But the flip side of that is when enough people start sneaking down to Tampa and snooping around and seeing what's going on with these Buccaneers, why they're winning all these division titles and why they win a Super Bowl and all of that, well, it comes at a little bit of a cost, because Mike Greenberg, who I did a Pewter Pulse on about a month ago, actually, with regards to him possibly being a candidate for the New York Jets job. Well, that's come to fruition. The Jets announced today that they're going to be interviewing Mike Greenberg. And that's not good news, because he is not just the team's capologist, he is the team's strategist. Mike Greenberg is Jason Light's right-hand man and helps with the long-term vision and strategy of the Bucs front office. He is an assistant general manager along with John Spytek. Spytek is more on the personnel side, and Greenberg crunches the numbers and doesn't just work with the Buccaneers football side. He also works with the Bucs on the business side of things with Brian Ford, setting the budget for the entire organization. So if you're Brian Glazier, if you're Joel Glazier, if you're Ed Glazier, if you're Darcy Kasowitz Glazier, or Darcy Glazier Kasowitz, you need to do whatever you can to keep Mike Greenberg in Tampa. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a situation where he's maybe one of the finalists for this position, because he is not just a Jets fan, he is also someone who grew up in New York. And Matt, the interesting thing about this is Mike Tannenbaum from the 33rd team, the media outlet. Tannenbaum is a former Jets general manager. He's leading the search for Woody Johnson. And he's the one that hired Mike Greenberg to work as an intern in the front office. So this is a little bit of a pipeline here that would have me concerned if I'm the Glaziers, if I'm Jason Light, about legitimately losing this guy, because there's some heartstrings here. This is home. New York is home to Mike Greenberg.
Oh, absolutely. And it's humbling news, right? Because if you are successful, it means teams want to model themselves after what you're doing. So it's humbling news.
Yeah.
And very much so. It's kind of similar to what we've talked about with Liam Coen, going to the Patriots, hometown team, that type of thing. It's the same for Mike Greenberg, who you mentioned is from New York, Long Island specifically, a couple of towns over from where I grew up. So I kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit. So, I think the biggest thing, though, is the connection with Tannenbaum. That's the thing I'm worried about more than just him going back to be the GM of the New York Jets. And, the Jets have already interviewed a couple of people, Louis Riddick as well as GM. They also need to find out who's going to be their head coach. So there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to this. Of course, Greenberg interviewed with the Panthers last year, did not get that job.
Yeah.
It's one of those things the Bucs are going to have to, they're going to have to pony up for Liam Coen. They may have to pony up for Mike Greenberg. Once again, if Greenberg gets the job with the Jets, if he truly wants the job with the Jets, does he bring Jackie Davidson? And that, changes a lot for Tampa Bay as well. The one thing that is important to pay attention to, we've talked about it on the show before, is the Jets, a couple of years ago, they had John Idzik as their general manager, whose son Brad Idzik was the wide receivers coach for the Bucs now with Carolina and Dave Canales. John Idzik was strictly a cap guy. Let me work the books. Let's get our finances under wraps. And he just did not have the wherewithal to find the right players, build a successful, talented team, and that crumbled quickly. Now, you can argue there's been nothing but dysfunction for the New York Football Jets over the last 15 years. So why not go back to the well? Someone who legitimately, cared about the Jets, has worked for the Jets in the past. So that's something to consider. And then obviously we got the news just before about the Jaguars having interest in Liam Coen as their new head coach as they let go Doug Peterson. And I don't necessarily think it's deja vu. I'm not putting this in the same category as Byron Leftwich going back to the Jaguars, but just ready for Bucs fans. The first of many of X team interested in Liam Coen.
Yeah, for sure. And I did a Pewter Pulse on Mike Greenberg and the possible interest from the Jets a month ago, and I just did an SRS Fab 5 column a couple weeks ago on how the New England Patriots might fire Gerard Mayo and possibly be interested in Liam Coen. That makes sense, again, from a heartstring standpoint, because he grew up in Rhode Island, went to UMass. Tom Brady was his favorite player at the time. And, Brady has his own franchise to run. But the one thing that's interesting is Tom Brady called that game yesterday, saw Liam Coen put 27 points on the board again. And if they don't have any interest in hiring Liam Coen out in Las Vegas, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Kraft had a conversation with Tom Brady about Liam Coen. Hey, what do you think of this Liam Coen guy? I need a guy to work with my quarterback here. Maybe it's Mike Vrabel up there in New England. Maybe it's Ben Johnson. Maybe he decides to go there. But Liam Coen is going to get some interviews. There's no doubt about it. And if I'm the Patriots, I would certainly want to interview him for sure. And the other thing, too, we haven't seen it yet, but there might be something brewing out in Las Vegas. Not all of these moves happen within the first day or two, right? And I know that apparently there's some reports that Antonio Pierce has, the head coach, he might be on thin ice out there. Tom Telesco, who is the general manager, there have been reports that say that he has done a good job with the draft class. They're happy with Brock Bowers, things like that. It might be a little too soon to pull the trigger there. But keep in mind, Tom Brady is now the 10% minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. But if you don't think that Mark Davis loves that, right, that Mark Davis doesn't love having Tom Brady as part of the ownership group. I mean, he was giddy when he got John Gruden back. Because Mark Davis, the son of Al Davis, is just he's one of those Daniel Snyder types in a certain way, a little bit of a fanboy, right? And he's going to listen to what Tom Brady has to say, right? Well, I'm throwing up this picture here of Tom Brady and John Spytek for a couple of reasons. Not only did they work together in Tampa to help win a Super Bowl, right? John Spytek, assistant general manager. They're also former Michigan Wolverine teammates, right? So as much as there's a connection between Jason Light and Tom Brady from their days together in New England and now obviously in Tampa, there's also a connection with John Spytek and Tom Brady because they were, I want to say Brady was a senior and Spytek was a freshman, or it was vice versa. I forget the age difference there. They're similar in age. They both went to Michigan at the same time. Spytek was a linebacker. Brady, of course, was a quarterback. I'm just saying, keep an eye on Las Vegas because that's a situation, too, where John Spytek, who is the personnel assistant general manager of this team, on the personnel side, he deserves the opportunity to run his own team. So, this is the ultimate form of flattery when other teams go snooping around for your assistants and your front office guys. It means you're doing something right. So it's only a matter of time before this was going to happen. And it looks like right now you're going to have a lot of teams descending on Tampa to try to interview, and we'll see if they end up hiring some of these guys. But I know Buccaneer fans are recoiling at the thought that they're going to lose Liam Coen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think one way or the other, Cohen's going to stay in Tampa. But with general manager Jason Light here, you can't necessarily stop Mike Greenberg or stop John Spytek from leaving, especially if they're being offered a general manager position elsewhere.
Yeah, and I've seen some people be like, well, why doesn't Jason Light just become like the president of team operations and then you move Mike Greenberg to GM or Spytek to GM? But I don't know. If I'm Jason Light, kind of like what Liam Coen said about being the offensive coordinator, I'm having too much fun doing this.
Yeah.
So why not keep doing what is working? And eventually it was going to happen. Like literally no other team has made the postseason consecutively more than the Bucs have right now currently with 5 years in a row making the playoffs and 4 years in a row winning the NFC South division. Like no other team has done it. So it's kind of like a no duh. Other teams are going to try and, find their guys, poach their guys, whatever you want to call it. So you got to look at it as flattery for sure. Now, how do the Bucs counteract that? Well, they're still focused right now on trying to get to the Super Bowl and winning this tournament, as Todd Bowles likes to call the playoffs. So it's a little bit of got to keep an eye over the fence for what's going on, but also, focus on the task at hand. And at this point, you got to trust Jason Light no matter what. Like, even if Greenberg does move on, or Spytek, Jack Davidson as well. Like, I don't know. I don't think Jason Light's going to be like, nope, I have no plan B. I'm just hoping that Mike Greenberg and Spytek come back. Like, I'm sure he's got, other irons in the fire, if you will, to figure it out, because that's what he does. He figures things out.
That's right. We have a couple super chats to get to, and then we'll do roll call here. Let's get to one or two of these, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. We'll start with Redfish. Thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Says, Sap once asked, they don't ask how, they ask how many. Crazy how their defense can't play the first half like the second. Two great stands inside Tampa Bay territory.
Yeah, this defense is doing a hell of a job, especially in the second half of games. You'd like to see them start faster. You'd like to see more takeaways, but it's something to be said, right? And there's only like one, I guess, quality win, you would say, that Chargers game, which was a shutout in the second half against an 11-win team. The other teams they beat and mostly have been double-digit losing teams. So they've done the job. You can't – Todd Bowles doesn't make the schedule. His job's just to play the next team on it. And it just so happened that there was a lot of the tougher teams were lumped in at the start of the season, in the middle of the season, and then in this back half, they haven't really faced a lot of really upper echelon teams, with the exception of the Chargers. So you like what they did against Las Vegas. You didn't necessarily like what happened in Dallas. I think what happened in Dallas was more so because of the turnover differential, right? 3-0. They lost the turnover battle. It's hard to beat anybody when you lose the turnover battle 3-0. We saw with the Raiders, that was a close game because of turnovers. But the reason why the Buccaneers won is, even though they lost the turnover battle, it was 3-2. They got a couple takeaways. It wasn't a whitewash like it was in Dallas, where they didn't get any takeaways from the defensive side. And that allows you to beat lesser teams. If it's somewhat close, you can have a turnover differential by -1 in that category, but it can't be -3, right? You're going to lose to anybody if it's -3. So they're getting the job done without the takeaways right now. They're getting some good old-fashioned stops on defense. The Saints did not convert a third down in the second half. That was key yesterday for sure.
Yeah, you take it with a grain of salt, the caliber of opponents that they played against. But with that being said, I mean, it's appalling how bad they can be in the first half and then how good they can be in the second half. If you look at the points that they have allowed in the second half since coming out of the bye week, only one time did a team score twice in the second half. The list goes Giants 7 points, Panthers 10 points. That was when they scored twice. Raiders, they only allowed 3. They pitched a shutout against the Chargers. The Cowboys, they only allowed 3 in the second half, although the first half was very bad. Panthers, again, pitched a shutout in that second half, then only allowed 3 to the Saints. So you got to give the Bucs defense credit for, I mean, even if the opponent's bad, if you're not allowing points, that's what you're supposed to do against bad opponents. So
that's right.
Credit to them for that point of it.
Yep, that's a hella good stat right there, Matt. And we always have a hella good time at 4:20 on Mondays, because this little thing we do called
Roll Call. That's right. This is a Victory Monday, focus on the playoff type of roll call. We love doing this every Monday show around 4:20 because our fans are great, and we always enjoy interacting with you guys and gals as much as we possibly can. So on roll call, what we do is one of us goes on a conversation, a rant about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in the meantime, while one of us is talking about the team, today it'll be Scott. If you want to put in the chat where you were watching the show from, like Callum Shaw watching from Liverpool, England, we will put it up on the screen and then give a couple of specific shout outs after. So Scott, whenever you are ready, please get it going.
Yeah, this is going to be a really exciting matchup in a lot of ways. This is going to be one of those games that has a ton of entertainment factor from different aspects, right? You've got the rookie phenom sensation in Jaden Daniels, who had his first NFL game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Didn't go as expected. They scored 13 points with about a minute left. They added another touchdown, but they basically got whitewashed 37-20 in week 1. And what did we all say? We all said, wow, we caught the Buccaneers, or we should say we caught the Commanders at a good time, right? That's what the fans were thinking, because they saw the rise of Jaden Daniels, and he became a guy that nearly rushed for 1,000 yards as a rookie, ended up being the leading rusher on the Commanders with the 891 yards. And then you've got 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, right? He was the quarterback that they drafted him to be with that first pick. The interesting thing about this matchup, though, is you've got two head coaches that are defensive minded, right? You've got Todd Bowles and Dan Quinn. And their defenses are kind of polar opposites. Todd Bowles, top 5 rushing defense, but you can pass on them all day long because they play soft coverage. They're easy to attack in the middle. Watch out for Zach Ertz, the tight end for the Commanders. Could have a big day. They haven't played a really good tight end in a while. I think the last one, even though Juwan Johnson, I want to give him some credit. He had over 80 yards yesterday. But, Brock Bowers, you think Brock Bowers is probably the last elite tight end this team has played. They've played some good ones. Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, Travis Kelce, etc. Now they got Zach Ertz again. So that's something to keep an eye on there. Dan Quinn's defense is the polar opposite. You can run on them all day long. They're ranked 30th in run defense, but they're a top 5 unit in pass defense. So those numbers are a little bit skewed. Teams don't even try to run on Tampa too much, although the Saints really tried, and they committed to that in the first half. And it worked to a degree until those second half adjustments really shut things down. But with Quinn, you want to run on his defense because you can. They've got a lot of talent. It's kind of hard to figure out with Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner at the linebacker level. They've got 2 stud defensive tackles up front, and Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. They've got Dante Fowler, who's got 10.5 sacks as a pass rusher off the edge. Cleveland Farrell, Dorrance Armstrong. They've got some talent in their front 7. Jeremy Chin comes down to the box. He is, I think, the second leading tackler for the Washington Commanders. So there's a lot of talent there. But I don't know that this game is really going to be about the defenses unless one of them really rises up and stops one of these 2 quarterbacks. This could truly be a shootout type of game because the Buccaneers are susceptible to the pass. The Commanders are susceptible to the run. We saw Bucky Irving run wild, and he was splitting carries at the time, but he had his first 30-plus run against the Commanders' defense. In that game, he had that initial jaunt where fans started the Bucky, Bucky, Bucky chant, right?
Yeah.
So you've got 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in this game, both prolific passers, Baker more so because of his experience. Both guys can scramble. We saw that from Baker Mayfield, 68 yards rushing, which was a career high from him. Not exactly what you want to do, right? Jaden Daniels, on the other hand, had 88 yards rushing, mostly because of pressure. But this is going to be a really fascinating game from a lot of standpoints. You look at these offenses, the Buccaneers are 3rd in scoring. The Commanders are 4th in scoring. So a lot of similarities, some really interesting contrasts in this game, and it's on Sunday night. So can the Buccaneers break this Sunday night curse, and can they sweep the Washington Commanders? It's going to be some high intrigue and drama. This is going to be a really, really fun playoff game. And, if Jamel Dean and Antoine Winfield Jr. can get healthy, Matt, I think that's key for the Buccaneers. I'm not saying that they would lose regardless, but I would rather have them than the combination of Josh Hayes and Kayvon Merriweather, although Merriweather did have a pretty decent game on Sunday, I thought.
Merriweather was solid, no doubt about it. But, yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't even matter if it's the Commanders. It could be any team remaining in the postseason. If the Bucs don't have their top guys in the secondary, because we've seen them struggle even with their top guys in the secondary, it will be an issue. But this game will be very exciting. Even as just a football fan, this is probably one of the top matchups to watch this weekend, and I love the over. I think right now it's 50.5, so make sure you get on that as well. We'll keep these super chats rolling. Thank you to Seth Goodfellow for the $4.99 super chat, who says, what are the odds we got some of our players on injured reserve back for the playoffs? Godwin, but also Dennis, Hill, Hall. We need help with the pass defense. So Todd Bowles actually spoke about this a little bit today. Savraze Dennis is not coming back, unfortunately. And the question was also phrased as, is it possible that Chris Godwin returns if it's a late playoff run? And he said it's not likely. So I wouldn't expect them back. The big ones, obviously, Jamel Dean, Cade Otton, Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yeah, those are the ones that really in
Todd
play.
Bowles said, we'll see, is what he pretty much always says. So we will see this week whether or not any of them can return. It should be noted that Winfield and Cade Otton last week did participate in some limited capacities, which was a huge step for Antoine Winfield Jr. I wasn't even expecting him to be out there this weekend or last week, but he was. So getting closer, maybe by Sunday, and maybe it helps the Bucs that they have that extra day, that maybe he can get a little more healthy for the game. So we shall see.
Yep. We've got a special wild card edition of our Bucs versus Commanders preview. That's coming up on Wednesday. That guy right there is going to have to put up some points. 37 in his NFL debut as a play caller. That was a pretty grand opening, right? I mean, if he can do that again, I like Tampa Bay's chances. If he can put 37 on the board against the Commanders defense again, I think Tampa Bay will advance to the divisional playoff round. But we'll see. Liam Coen has been on an absolute heater. The Buccaneers had 502 total yards this year, which is absolutely incredible when you think about the first year with Liam Coen working with Baker Mayfield just absolutely getting over the 40 touchdown yardage, or I should say the 40 touchdown mark. We'll talk more about the Bucs versus the Commanders in depth on Wednesday's show at 4:00. Pewter Report TV. Make sure you're there. But for Baker Mayfield, 41 passing touchdowns, an incredible season, 4,500 yards, and just the points they put on the board together. 502 points scored, second most in team history, just 9 points away from the Tom Brady number in 2021, 511. So an absolutely incredible job. And you think about that and you put it in context, Matt, right? You had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think they played at just about every game in 2021, right? You had Gronkowski for maybe all but a couple games. I think he injured his ribs that season, if I'm getting my seasons correct.
Godwin got hurt in 21. That's when he hurt his knee.
That's true. Yeah, in December. But I'm saying for
the majority up until then. Gronk broke
not
his
just 7
ribs
games.
At one point, but
yes. And then you had AB until he decided to peace out. But by and large, you had your starting weapons for most of the season, and you had top 4 weapons in the NFL. I mean, you ask any team, they would trade for that quartet of weapons that Tampa Bay had any day of the week. Liam Coen has won with only 7 games of Chris Godwin. He's put up points without Mike Evans and Godwin at the same time. He's put up points with Jalen McMillan, not really becoming the Jalen McMillan we've seen until second half of the season. So for him to put up 502 with lesser talent to work with, I think it's just amazing.
And you could see it with McMillan specifically, just every single week, he looks a little more comfortable. He looks a little more confident. Once he gets the guns out of the way, he'll really be good to go. But you mentioned the accomplishments that the Bucs have done this season on offense, and from Baker and from Liam Coen being incredible. Another thing that is incredible, of course, is the energy drink that we love so much. Celsius Energy Drinks, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. I love the Arctic vibe, but you can't go wrong with any flavor that they have, like the sparkling watermelon lemonade on the screen there as well. So if you need to know where to find a Celsius energy drink, head on over to the Celsius store locator on their website. Punch in your address. It'll tell you the closest place where you can pick one up. Might be a Walmart, a Piggly Wiggly, a Publix, Stop and Shop, or your local bodega. And once you know that you love Celsius after you tried it and you're like, I need more, but I don't want to keep doing all these trips, or I get 1 or 2, you can buy it in bulk over on Amazon with the subscribe and save. Have it sent to your place of residence whenever you want. I'd recommend that variety pack because there's so many fantastic flavors of Celsius. Yeah, and get it sent to your place of residence. You can set it up at your own leisure for how often you want to get it. And just make sure you drink Celsius Energy Drinks, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. We have some more super chats to get to, Scott. So let's keep it rocking and rolling. We'll start with Bucs Basement. Thank you for the $10 super chat, who says, "Where's the love for Bowles? ? Let's not get things twisted. Where we are now, in spite of Bowles, who's cost this team. Bowles has nothing to do with the offense, which is the reason we're here." Well, Todd Bowles did say today that he made the call to go for it on 4th and 8 when they got it and kept that drive going.
Well, yeah, and he also decided to maybe buck his conservative nature and get Mike Evans out there for one more catch for that. That substantial record, 1,000 yards, right? He's 5 yards away. Go out there and get it, knowing that a pick six could put this team in some jeopardy, a 2-point conversion. All of a sudden you're in overtime, and then we're criticizing Bowles for putting an accomplishment of an individual before the team, right? It thankfully didn't happen that way. Listen, we need to give Todd Bowles some credit here, right? We can't have an appreciation for Liam Coen at the same time as having an appreciation for Todd Bowles. And we'll see if Todd Bowles can come up with another defensive masterpiece like he did last year in Philadelphia. This is playoff time. This is the second look at Jaden Daniels. You've already played him. Todd Bowles does pretty well in rematch games against teams like what happened with the Eagles last year. Got trounced on Monday Night Football, came back and beat him not just once, but twice in the playoffs last year, and then here at Raymond James Stadium. Granted, I know their top two wide receivers were out. I get that. But look at what happened with the Lions. You go and you lose that game that was close, tied into going into the fourth quarter of the divisional playoff game, and then go up to Detroit and beat him in week 2. So let's see. Let's have a little bit of appreciation for what Todd Bowles has done here. Todd Bowles also is the one that hired Dave Canales and the one that hired Liam Coen as well. Did have some input from Jason Light. It was a collaborative decision, but Todd Bowles knows what he's doing, right? And yes, there have been some mistakes. Yes, the defense has been the culprit more than the offense this year for sure, but let's not get it twisted. I go back to what Matt said. Appreciate the fact that Todd Bowles has made those second half adjustments, and they've lost one game, folks. They're 6-1 down the stretch, right? They've beaten the teams they needed to beat. And it's okay to give Todd Bowles his flowers and an attaboy for a job well done and winning a third straight NFC South title. And it's okay to, at the same time, appreciate Liam Coen and know that the offense has worn the superhero cape this year. That's okay. The offense has had to deal with some injuries, but not like the Bucs secondary, Matt. That has been the most riddled position when it comes to injuries this year.
And I get that it's a "what have you done for me lately" world. I get that the offense has been the reason why the Bucs have won a lot of games this season. But Todd Bowles at least deserves the chance to show that, maybe he can get the defense together or that they can still make a run in this postseason. Like, let's not forget that, the 2022 team that went 8-9, the defense was the one dragging the Bucs to the finish line.
Right.
Like, we talked the other day about the last time the Bucs beat the Saints in Raymond James Stadium before they won yesterday. That was that Monday night game in Raymond James Stadium. Now, people remember it as the classic comeback by Tom Brady scoring late. The final score of that game was 17-16. The Bucs offense did nothing until that last drive. So the Bucs on defense on many occasions in 2022 and certainly, at least at the beginning of 2023, was the ones getting the job done. So, it hasn't worked out much this season, but it hasn't always been the Bucs offense being high-flying, doing everything, and putting the defense on their back. It's actually been on the contrary. It's been the defense really getting the job done. This year, obviously, it's been team offense, but, he did improve. The Glazers talked about improvement. He got to 10 wins this year, so deserves that too.
I think there's 2 points to make to follow up what you said, and I agree with everything you said. Number one, Jared Cox says, Todd Bowles is a leader of men. It ain't just the X's and O's. And Matt, you and I were in the locker room, and we talked to the players. This is a unified team. I've seen Buccaneer teams before under previous head coaches that have not been unified, that there's finger pointing that goes on. Todd Bowles has done a remarkable job with a young football team of managing this team, the steady hand, hey, we're 4-7, don't sweat it. 4-6, don't sweat it. And we'll figure this out. And you have to give him credit for that, right? Is he the guy that's going to take this team all the way? I don't know. He has to show me that. I have some doubts, just like you do. The second point, Jeff B says, Bowles does deserve some credit. That being said, I'm choosing Coen over Bowles if it comes to that. I agree with that too. If I had to choose which guy is going to be the captain of the ship going forward, if it was one or the other, right? In other words, Liam Cohen's out the door unless he gets the Tampa job. If I'm the Glaziers, if I'm Jason Light, I'm going with the 39-year-old hotshot offensive coordinator who could be, I think, the next Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan type, who took my quarterback to new heights, took this offense to new heights. I'm going with that guy over the 61-year-old defensive-minded head coach because the league is going that way. Look who's been fired. Robert Saleh, Dennis Allen, Matt Eberflus, Gerard Mayo. All four guys are defensive-minded head coaches. Only one so far, Doug Peterson, has been an offensive-minded head coach. Antonio Pierce, I think, is going to get fired out in Las Vegas. That'll make it 5. The trend is going with the offensive-minded head coach. The last thing I'll say is this: when you look at the guys that are being interviewed for, or the guys that they want to interview for the Jaguars job, it's all about working with Trevor Lawrence, right? Ben Johnson, Buffalo's Joe Brady, Tampa Bay's Liam Coen. Those are the 3 guys. No defensive-minded guys. Those are the 3 guys that they're looking for to work with Trevor Lawrence to get that Jaguars team back on track.
And the last thing I'll say about it, because we have more super chats to get to, but I think it's important. I think some of the best coaches aren't even the X's and O's guys. It's being a leader of men and just a leader in general. And you don't have to be like a manly man to get it done. But I look at coaches that have been around for a long time and have consistent, sustainable winners. It's Mike Tomlin. It's John Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's done it in college, but when he's been in the NFL, he's had winning teams. None of those guys really. Obviously, Tomlin was with the Bucs back in the day as an assistant coach, running a great defense. But, John Harbaugh was a special teams guy. He wasn't necessarily known for his X's and O's, but he's able to motivate and lead guys, and that's important. Where you see a guy like Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins, who's a good play caller, can scheme a lot of things. I like him. He's a little bit of a silly guy for sure. But when the going got, what's the knock on the Dolphins? They're soft. They can't play in cold weather. You don't say that about, obviously the Steelers and the Ravens are based out of cold weather places, but you don't really say that about the Bucs. They got a win in Green Bay last year. They went into the cold and went on their Super Bowl run. So Todd Bowles at least has that going for him.
That's right.
Moving on, Drillman 32. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much.
Gifting 5 Pewter Report memberships. That is very, very kind of you, and we appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Callum Shaw with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Says great win with some amazing moments. Of course, the Mike Evans play at the end. Just frustrated how Todd plays so soft in coverage first half, and wow, after halftime they fix it all every week. I agree with that. Bowles has said we have to play all 4 quarters. There's a part of me, not a whole part, but a little part of me that thinks, what if Todd Bowles hasn't even shown his best calls yet on defense and he's saving it for the postseason? I don't know if that's the case because, if you saved it in your bag of tricks and you didn't bring it out for a must-win game to get into the postseason, well, then what are you doing? But I don't know. I mean, we saw it last year when they beat the Eagles in the playoffs and, put Zion McCollum at safety and did all these different things.
Yeah.
I think Todd Bowles has 1 or 2 maybe in him for this postseason run.
Yeah. The 2 things that really irked me yesterday to no end, and maybe this is a Bowles thing, maybe this is a Casey Rogers thing. There was and this is in the first half, and I want to say they might have been on 2 back-to-back third downs. Both of them were converted by the Saints on the same drive, if my memory serves me correctly. On the tight end pass to Foster Moreau, he dropped Yaya Diaby and Anthony Nelson into coverage. Those are your 2 top sackers from the edge. I don't want those guys in coverage. They never make any plays in coverage. They don't. They don't have pass breakups. They don't have interceptions. That's not what they do best. That irks me to no end. Okay. I know Vita Vea had made 1 play in coverage. He tackled the tight end last week or against the the Panthers. I don't like that. Or actually, it was the Cowboys that did that. Second one, second play that irked me was it was third and 8 or 3rd and 9. And the two edge rushers that were on the field at that time were Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Chris Braswell. The two guys on 3rd and long that you're counting on to get pressure are the guys that have the least amount of sacks. I don't like that. To me, and I've talked to Todd about this, I'm going to continue to, it's like you do whatever you have to get Yaya Diaby out there on 3rd down. 3rd and long, like he is the guy. This hockey shift, this hockey line shift that they do drives me bananas. They're still doing it. I know guys need rest, but Casey Rogers, if he's in charge of doing the substitutions, he's got to come up with a better plan. Because I don't remember Simeon Rice ever not being on the field on 3rd down in Tampa Bay, ever, unless he was hurt. Warren Sapp was. It wasn't Brad Culpepper and Scrub McGee playing defensive tackle back in the day. Sapp was on the field. Simeon Rice was on the field. You could not get those guys off the field on 3rd down. So that's my soapbox.
I think
those are some things that drive me crazy about Todd Bowles.
I completely understand what you're saying. And I think what is annoying specifically with, Yaya dropping back in coverage with Anthony Nelson is that they do it every single game and all the time where there's not the element of surprise that it's supposed to partially be designed for. And I think a perfect example is the Ravens game on Saturday against the Browns. They dropped that, his name is slipping my mind, but they dropped that
Mike
gigantic defensive tackle back, and nobody expected it, and that's why he got the interception. The Bucs, it used to be a surprise when Shaq Barrett would get it, or JPP, or when Shaq had that pick 6 last season. Like, it was few and far between, but now they do it all the time. It takes away the element of surprise, which
totally agree.
Gets a little frustrating. Bucs Basement, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, hope Greenberg knows how to play Madden. I saw this one earlier, and I was chuckling to myself. For those that don't know what Bucs Basement is talking about, there were reports that came out that the GM wanted to trade for Jerry Jeudy, I believe.
Yeah.
But Woody Johnson, the owner, his son, said that his ratings weren't that good in Madden, so he vetoed the trade. It was just typical Jets. That's hilarious.
Some Daniel Snyder level BS right there. Holy crap. Yeah. My God. God help the Jets.
KJ Chap, thank you for the $2 super chat, says that was one emotional game. It absolutely was. I mean, from Mike getting fired up to his teammates running on to celebrate with him as soon as it was done. I mean, people in the comments yesterday were saying how they teared up after it. It was an emotional moment and a great moment, and one that Bucs fans will always remember, which was super cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Bucs Basement, thanks for the $2 super chat, says Balky is the Jags general manager. No one wants to work with him. Yeah, that was some surprising news. They are keeping their general manager, Trent Baalke. And we'll see how that impacts coaches wanting to go to Jacksonville.
He's got to have some pictures, man. He's got to have some dirt. He does. Like, that guy's got 9 lives. I think everybody knows he's not good except for the Coen family. I think they're getting conned by Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
And listen, Byron Leftwich didn't want to come, and he was, I think, offered the job or was in discussions to get the job. He wanted to bring his own guy, Adrian Wilson, and they vetoed that. And so then, and they dodged a bullet because I don't think Byron would have been a good head coach. But yeah, just not good. He's not good. He's part of the problem.
Byron actually he actually talked about it recently, like in an article. He says there's some misconception about he was never offered the job technically and all these different things. But regardless, it didn't happen. So we don't need to spend too much time on it. Thank you to Min Centrin Bailey. Thanks for the $4.99 super chat, who says, Chris Sims from NBC said he is concerned about Bowles' defense. He said Bowles plays with heavy boxes with an injured secondary, as if Kamara played.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to stop the run at all costs, and he's willing to give up some of the shorter underneath stuff, and it drives everybody crazy. That's why they only have 7 interceptions this year. I'll remind you, Washington only has 7 too. It's not like they're taking the ball away at a high rate, but it's maddening. You can kind of pencil in the field goal before halftime. We knew that was coming yesterday. The defense just
had a minute and 3 seconds. They had a minute and 3 seconds and just dinked and dunked all the way down the field. The problem, I don't mind the dinking and dunking. It's just like immediately letting them get out of bounds. Like guard the boundary, tackle them in bounds, make them throw it to the middle of the field, and they just did it.
Yep. No, I'm with you on
that. Moving on to Timothy Fitzgerald. Timothy, thank you for the $2 super chat. Scott, Bucs had two, not 3 turnovers in Dallas. Let's freaking big. Well, one of them was the Payne Durham fumble, or there was one fumble that went back like 30 yards, so the Bucs had like a 3rd and 40. So technically it wasn't a fumble, but it was a lost possession when the Bucs were over midfield.
Yeah.
Jamie Miles, thanks for the $5 super chat, says, Scott and Matt, give Sevens your best swag surf in honor of the Falcons falconing. I think this is in reference to Kirk Cousins doing I don't know if he goes like this or if he does you see people on the kickoff doing it, the swag surf. The song's great, swag surf.
Yeah.
But there you go. I did it.
Yep.
Swag. I surf. I swag. I surf.
Yeah.
All right. There you go, Jamie. Moving on. Trey Cloudier, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, you couldn't have written a movie script better than the way that game ended yesterday. What a way to end the season. Todd Bowles briefly spoke about that today too, where like if he was worried about turning the ball over and I think what helped is that it was an 8-point game versus a 7-point game, because there is that worry of something goes wrong, pick 6, Saints can go for 2 and win the game versus like at worst you're going to overtime.
Yeah.
But then Todd said, no, I wasn't worried, just wanted to make sure we didn't turn the ball over, and Mike owes me $1 million. So
that's funny.
Todd. Payne Gusto, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, Mike getting that 1,000 yards was like a movie scene. It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. Hopefully the Bucs social media team, which they do a great job with their YouTube show in the current, I think they'll dig up something nice for when they get to that part of in the current.
Yep. No, well, one thing that is nice, it's a Monday. It's a victory Monday. And there's no Monday Night Football tonight because the season's over. There will be a Monday Night Football playoff game. Who is playing on Monday night next week? Do we know?
It is the Vikings and the Rams.
Okay. Yeah. So you can watch that next Monday at a place that has tons of TVs, tons of live sports, tons of great food, and tons of super duper specials when it comes to their happy hour menu.
What an amazing comeback, Coach.
You're not kidding. I mean, we did lose the game badly, but coming to walk-ons afterward, the team got a much-needed win off the field.
Walk-ons for the win.
You can walk on to walk-ons tonight, all night long, happy hour from 3 to 6. So if you're looking for dinner plans, make them at walk-ons. Take the family there. It's a great environment. You can get some happy hour drinks. Kids can't have those, though, but you can if you're a responsible adult. $3 happy hour pours, $3.99 domestic pints, $4 house wines, $5.49 22-ounce domestic drafts. And the kids will love the starters, though. $6 fried pickles. I love those. They do a great job with those. The small waffle cheese fries. $7 get you the boom boom shrimp, the queso dip. $8 the boneless wings or the cheeseburger sliders. One of my favorites. And if you can't make it to walk-ons tonight, they have trivia tonight also, too, which is cool. They've got trivia. But if you can't make it tonight, make it to walk-ons tomorrow, Tuesday. All-day happy hour, including $5 Tito's. Visit walkons.com for more information, and you can visit their 3 locations in the Tampa Bay area. Wesley Chapel up here by me, Midtown Tampa down there by Matt and the stadium, and out there in Lakeland. So check out walk-ons if you haven't done so. Great place for lunch or dinner.
It is, absolutely. And before we get to some more super chats, just a quick shout out to some people that participated in walk-ons. Please participate in walk-ons, but that participated in roll call today. We had a ton of people, so thank you so much for everybody that got involved. And in no particular order, Timothy Fitzgerald, watching from Round Rock, Texas. Leadus Production, Syracuse, New York. Nicola Legistina, Tampa Bay, Florida. Michael Scurry from Savannah, Georgia. Zristos Faro from Athens, Greece. Very cool to see. Stephen Stansfield from Wall, New Jersey. Ash Fishpool watching in Hyde Park, Tampa. Jay Berg 27, Portland, Oregon, probably a big Bucky Irving fan.
Yeah.
Felix Schmidt, Edmonton, Canada, with more support for Bucky Irving. Bucky will be in the Bucs Rushmore soon enough. David Croak, Dublin, Ireland. Very cool. My brother was just in Ireland the other day. Louis Jordan, watching in Brooklyn. Where Brooklyn at? And last but not least, Wasp in Miami, Florida. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved in Roll Call today. It was a lot of fun, as always.
Yeah, we want to always give a big shout out to our Pewter Platinum members: Scott Federico, Rathel Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, Dave Anderson, Eric McMillan, and Zach Jarvis. Need some of you guys, if you haven't emailed me yet, do so at sr@pewterreport.com. Give me your address. We have some Pewter Report merch going out this week to you guys, and I need your shirt sizes too. So make sure some of you have, I know, Scott Federico, Noah Parr, Scotty J. I believe those are the ones that have. Maybe there's another one too. But if you have not emailed me at sr@pewterreport.com with your address, please do so, as well as your shirt size. So we get some great PR merch to send out to you. Want to give a shout out to our new Pewter Report TV channel members, as well as the ones who have recently rejoined: Sharkles, Matthew, Kevin Sampson, Nick Dubuque, Ed Gein, Benjamin Patterson, Cameron Odom, David Stacks, Bucs fan since Leroy, Fabian Espinoza, P. Simpson, Gustavo Espinoza, and Pete Shuri. Appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. We've got a ton of Pewter Premier channel members to get to. We'll let this roll for a bit here, Matt, while we get into some of these super chats before we close the show.
Yeah, thanks everyone for your support. Next up is O2RR. Thanks for the $4.99 super chat. With the Jags in turmoil and the Dolphins also having issues, Bucs are number one in Florida. Hoist the colors and fire the cannons. Go Bucs!
Yeah,
they got bragging rights. They run the state.
Yeah.
Bucs run the state.
Yep.
And the Bay.
That's
they're
good
Pirates.
stuff.
They're Buccaneers.
Yep.
David Van Dunn, thanks for the $9.99 super chat, says Mike Evans is the greatest Buccaneer of all time and a top 10 receiver of all time. An incredible player and an even better person. Can't wait to go to his Hall of Fame induction in Canton. Let's go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Great words, David. Very true. Best receiver in Bucs history.
Yep.
And future Hall of Famer, future Ring of Honor member, and means a lot to really everyone that's ever rooted for the Bucs or covered the Bucs.
No doubt. Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. Just one of the absolute legends. It's cool to be in his presence because he's so humble, you know. Like he didn't act like a guy. Like, I mean, he's very confident in himself. He knows he's great, but I mean, he doesn't act that way, you know.
And on top of that, Scott, like even hearing from the rookies, like they haven't been around Mike Evans. A lot of these guys like aren't from Tampa. They may not know like what Mike means to so many people. But even like Devin Cope brought up something cool. He was like, "Yeah, when I made my first NFL catch last week, Mike Evans was the first person to go over to celebrate with him and congratulate him." So again, just speaks to who he is as a person. Mickey, thanks for the $5. Says, is there a possibility the Bucs will still replace the 2 to 3 assistants on defense? Yeah, I mean,
I hope so.
Bowles' loyalty.
Yeah, and there's going to have to be some conversations had. You know, I've been pushing this. I know that. I'll just say I've been pushing this. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm the Glazers. I say, listen, Todd, we know that the problem is on the defense, right? We have to fix that. We have to get some better personnel. There's no doubt about that. Upgrade linebacker, outside linebacker, get another starting caliber corner. Got to find another safety. All of those personnel issues are valid. Hasn't been for a lack of effort, though, right? They signed Bryce Hall. They drafted Tyke Smith. They re-signed Jordan Whitehead. They've added a couple of veterans in season in Troy Hill, Mike Edwards, Dallas Flowers. Who am I forgetting? They signed Tavier Thomas to add some more depth there.
They've done a lot.
They've done a lot, right? They promoted Zion McCollum to the starting caliber or starting cornerback position because he's a starting caliber player. So they've done a lot. There's more work to do. But if I'm the Glazers, I make that a bone of contention, especially if Liam Coen is getting some of these offers. I'm like, Todd, listen, we might keep you here if Liam wants to stay, but we need to make some changes. Some of these guys, we need some fresh blood on the coaching staff.
No two seasons are the same, but next year, and they're not there. Well, we're in 2025, but next season, there has to be something different with the defense, whether it's coaches, whether it's whatever personnel they bring in. But they can't go in just expecting those things to change by any means. Cam, thanks for the $1.99 super chat. Says Charvarius Ward this offseason. But hi, Matt and Scott. Hello, Cam.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jason Light load up and get some free agents. I think they might need one at inside linebacker. So you sign somebody there. This is a very weak draft class at linebacker. So maybe you address that in free agency, getting another free agent corner that is starting caliber. They might move on from Jamel Dean, right? I mean, he's missed some time this year. The 4 games with the hamstring, these last 2 games here. What did we say about Carlton Davis? Big salary, not enough turnovers, and often injured. And that's the exact same thing that we're seeing out of Jamel Dean, not just 1 year, but several years. Wouldn't be surprised if they make a move there, and then you swap out one corner for another. Maybe it is Charvarius Ward. Maybe you get rid of Jamel Dean, and you sign Charvarius Ward. That's happened before with Jason Light. Remember, got rid of high-priced defensive tackle Gerald McCoy, brought in high-priced defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh.
Sad but true, but that's the nature of the business. Swift Wolf, thanks for the $5 super chat. Problem with Bowles is the passing defense has been bottom 5 last 2 years and barely make the playoffs both years in the last game. Yeah, right now the Bucs are 29th in the league in passing defense. So no bueno.
Yeah, agreed.
Cincy Kid, thanks for the $13 super chat, who says, this is in honor of the GOAT, Mike Evans. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! And in many regards, Jerry Rice has been the man when it comes to wide receivers. And this is a category where it's only Mike Evans and Jerry Rice. Next season, he's going to have a chance to surpass Jerry Rice, which would be unbelievable as well. So congrats to Mike again. Just an awesome day.
At some point, the 1,000-yard seasons are going to end, right? I mean, he can't play forever, right? I mean, Jerry Rice has got some records, Mike, or nobody's going to catch like 197 touchdowns. Like no one's going to get that, right? But it just feels like you want Mike to maybe go out after 13 years of getting 1,000 yards, right? Like that to me, number 13, right? Like that's him. I think that would be the absolute fitting. You sign Mike for one more year after his contract expires. He'll be in a contract year next year. He'll be 33 at the time, going on 34. Yeah. Man, for him to go out on top, hopefully with 2 Super Bowl rings, but for him to go out and just say, I went out with a 1,000-yard season. Because a lot of times you see these receivers, they kind of dwindle. 1,000-yard guys become the 700-yard guys, become the 500-yard guys. They kind of hang around. They're possession guys, and then it's not great how it ends, but that would be cool.
That absolutely, that'd be fun. I don't know if Mike would want like the farewell tour type of thing because that's not really who he is, but everything else, definitely. Paul, aka OG Baker Bro, thanks for the $10. Says, I've been a Bucs fan for only 2 years. Shame on me for not realizing how incredible Mike Evans is as a player on the field and as a person off of the field far sooner.
Yeah, I mean, well said. He's amazing. And I think what you said just a few minutes ago, how he treats the rookies is just incredible. I mean, he is a kind person. He
thinks that he does for people.
If you're Mike Greenberg and you're Jason Light and you give this guy over $20 million, right, with his salary, before that was like $16 million, he gives away so much of it, right? And he never asks for cameras to be present. He just donates. He's a very giving person, and so I think it makes you feel even better, right? If you're the Glazers, it's like you're cutting a check to a guy that it's not all going to go in his pocket, right? It's going to be spread around the community of Tampa and Galveston, his hometown.
And what's cool is Bucs Communications just retweeted this. LeBron James just tweeted about an hour ago, giving a shout out to Mike, and Mike is a huge basketball fan, and he likes LeBron. So happy that Mike got that accolade too from LeBron. Q's 44, thanks for the $2 super chat. Says, love Tuck's progress and sign for next year. Tuck's got to stay in bounds though. Like, why are you running out of bounds so late in the game? It was nice that he got the first down, but stay in bounds, Sean Tucker. Come on.
Yep. Agreed.
But talented. Samuel Fisher, thank you for the $5. Hey, Scott, me again. Did you see our performance in the Pop-Tart Bowl?
Of course I did.
Wait to see you in Ireland next year. Go Bucs.
Samuel Fisher is obviously an Iowa State Cyclone fan. And, I mean, Rocco Becht was my quarterback for 1 year at the South Pasco Predators. I know Anthony Becht. I covered him when he was a Bucs tight end. Still friends with the Becks. They live down the street just about in Wesley Chapel, probably 10 minutes away from my house. I'm a big Rocco Becht fan. I hate when he beats K-State. I don't know if I'm going to go over to Ireland. I don't know if I'm going to miss training camp to go over there to watch Iowa State beat K-State again. I feel like if I want to go to Ireland, I want to go there just to enjoy some Guinness and look at the green fields and the clovers and everything. I don't want to go over there for a football game necessarily and then have my memories of Ireland be with a possible L, right? I mean, J.P. Peterson did that, our good friend and colleague. He went over there as a Florida State fan. It started an absolutely awful season for the Seminoles, getting beat by Georgia Tech over there. I don't know if I want to pay all that money to go across the pond, experience Ireland, and then, get an L.
That'd be even worse. That'd be even worse for JP because, Florida State was expected to win that game. They're expected to have a big season, and they lost on top of it. But yeah, Ireland's a beautiful place. I've been there once, and I loved it. So highly recommend it to everybody at some point. And since you coach Rocco Becht, I think you should get a win for Iowa State's win as well. So congratulations, Scott. You are now a 2-time Pop-Tart Bowl winner with Kansas State last year and Rocco Becht this year. So congratulations.
I wanted Rocco Becht to play safety. I got into it with his dad, Anthony, because he's a good athlete. I mean, he's, and listen, I knew Iowa State was going to win that game. They were down, 6 points, and they needed a touchdown. And I knew Rocco was going to score the game when he touched down on the quarterback sneak. I knew that. Once he got the ball back, I said, Iowa State's going to win this one, and I'm glad that they did. But I wanted him to play safety. His dad only wanted him to play quarterback, didn't want him to get hurt. I get all that, but Rocco's a really good athlete. He has good ball skills too. And listen, this is back when I think Rocco was maybe 10, 11 years old. I'm like, come on. We got Wade Woodaz. We got a couple of our kids here that play two ways. Caden Hart, my son. It's like, come on, let's have him play there. And Anthony's like, no, he's our quarterback. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Vince McGee, thank you for the $2 super chat. Bucs #1 in the Southeast of America. All right. I'll take your word for it.
That's right. I mean, that's very true. Good insight.
Bucs Basement, thank you for the $2 super chat. Edge needs to be a free agent signing. I'm tired of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jason Light, it took him a long time to get the running back position right through the draft, right? A lot of failed guys. I'm still not giving up on Yaya Diaby and Chris Braswell. I want to see a position coach change. I want to see George Edwards gone. I want to see a better position coach and unleash the talent of these guys. To me, I think that's the key to unlock the door. At the same time, I'm with you. You need to have a proven pass rusher, a veteran. You got to have a JPP caliber guy that comes in, has been there and done that. And I'm if you want to go out and spend draft picks and get Myles Garrett, I'm all in favor of that. Guy can flat out play, man. If you want to go get a Josh Sweat in free agency, I haven't done all of the research on it, but this is the year. This is the year where you go out and you make that move, right? And Jason Light has done this before. He got JPP. He went out and got Ndamukong Suh. So I have full faith. He knows what this team needs. And if you have one of those veteran guys that come in that like JPP can bring along some of those other players, then that's what you need. Almost like when you need some advice when it comes to the financial sector. Maybe you're looking towards your retirement. Maybe you're looking to save some money. Maybe you're looking to make some investments. There's one place to go, and it's our friends over at Immuni Financial.
At Immuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you? Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it. All right. Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Immuni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
Yeah, make sure you check out our Bucs mailbag that is presented by Immuni Financial every Monday. We greatly appreciate their support. Managing your family's wealth means more to Immuni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and insurance services. With 40 years of experience, let Immuni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. Call Immuni Financial today at 1-800-868-6864 or visit them on the web at immuni.com. Folks, you might need to get a second opinion. We talk about getting second opinions with doctors, with some of our health issues and all of that. Same thing with your finances, your financial health. Make sure you get a second opinion. Let the people at Immuni Financial give you a free consultation and see if they can help.
Yeah, make sure you check it out. We have 2 more super chats to get to. Thanks to FBC for this $10 super chat, who says, just a shout out to y'all for how excellent your coverage is. I tried to check the other Bucs media, and it's so extreme sometimes. Either everything sucks or everything is amazing. Y'all are fair. Salute.
Appreciate that. That's the best compliment that you can give us is just that we're fair, because that's we know our audience, right? Our audience is Buccaneer fans. So I always try to say we're 51-49. We're going to give the team the benefit of the doubt. We're going to lean on that side of the fence, but we're also going to call, like we've called for more coaches to be fired, and than probably any other media outlet. Some coaches have gotten fired and haven't called for them to get fired because it was kind of an inevitable thing. But we all want to see this team do well, right? They represent the Tampa Bay area, and our job as objective journalists is to present the news, call it like we see it. I think that we all, as a collective staff, do a very good job of that. And thank you for recognizing it.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, FBC. And I do think some other publications are over the top, and it's a little bit of like fear mongering or putting people on a pedestal when it shouldn't necessarily be the case. And I get it. It's clickbaity. People click on it and stuff like that. But that's why I have a problem sometimes with these aggregators and national aggregators where they like post something and they're like, so-and-so did this. Wow, completely awful. How could they ever blah, blah, blah. Or wow, like put them in the Hall of Fame now. And it's just like, shut up. You don't actually believe this. Like you're just trying to rile up other people. And I don't know. I find it disingenuous at times. Like, wow. So-and-so fumbled, like awful, bench them right away. It's like, dude, it's their second career start. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, there's two quick examples I'll get to your point, and I totally agree. I got, lambasted by some when I said, could a running back controversy be brewing in Tampa after Bucky Irving ripped off a big run and against the Commanders in week 1, led the team in rushing. We kind of saw Bucky's greatness then, right? And I wasn't trying to like stir the hornet's nest and try to stir the pot. I was just calling it like we see it, right? And look what's happened. Was there a controversy? No, because both these guys get along. But we've seen a 990-yard rusher last year not get a single carry last game. Why? Because of Bucky Irving, right? So, give us some credit. We do our homework, our analysis. We don't try to stir the pot. We try to call it like we see it. But we're going to have some takes that are based in fact, based in educated opinion, et cetera. The other one was, I said, Bucs might lose Mike Greenberg. This was a month ago in a Pewter Pulse. Yeah. And now here you've got the New York Jets going to be interviewing Mike Greenberg. Not saying they're going to lose him, but they could, because this is a special instance where Greenberg is going to be interested in this job and they're interested in him. If he wows them, we'll see. That would be a big blow to the Bucs front office if they end up losing Mike Greenberg.
Yeah, it's like if you feel it, say it, but don't just say it because
just to say it.
Spicy,
Yeah, exactly.
Amazement 717, thanks for the $9.99 super chat. Says, so happy for Mike. We see how these diva wide receivers are like Tyreek, and we get classy guys like Mike and Chris. Glad we gave him what he's earned. 1 million percent.
Oh my gosh,
1 million percent.
Yep. That's good stuff.
So that's all the super chats for today's show, and we had a great conversation. I mean, we went 10 minutes over, but that's all thanks to you guys and gals for another fantastic show. Just a reminder again, Wednesday, we will have the Bucs versus Commanders preview. We'll break everything down for this rematch and a even more important rematch with this being a playoff game, the super wild card round. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll give the latest updates from the Bucs facility as well. And in the meantime, if you're not already doing so, please follow us on our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Pewter Report. And our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment on this video too. So, for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching. We will see you on Wednesday for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Swag surf. Bucs in the playoffs. Let's go. Win a game. Congrats again. Peace out.
Victory Monday.